Imagine drawing on heritage like this. The Jaguar E-Type, described by many as the most beautiful car ever made. Called the masterpiece of British design and engineering for its sheer simplicity, and achieving all of this over 50 years ago. So yes, imagine drawing on all of that when delivering its successor all these decades later. The pressure, the challenge, well, they're immeasurable, and yet need to break out of its shadow, go in a new direction that defies modernity, and that's clearly valuable. Jaguar Car's head of design, Ian Callum, and his team went all out to impress, to offer us what they see as the perfect blend of classical and modern. And they challenged the company's engineering team to, well, fit it all into their design boundary, so as to still offer the kind of exhilarating performance expected from a sports car, all while looking fantastic. So we touched down at Pamplona Airport in northern Spain to meet the F-Type. Well, I had met the car before, now it was all about driving it. Now there are 3 models on offer, so I began the journey with the standard V6. Seems ample enough on paper, and yet the decision from Jaguar to go for a V6 base version, if you will, had surprised the pundits. A drive through the Basque countryside brought us to the Navarra region within Basque and to a racetrack. So it's a bit of a change of scene. The car that just went by is the V6S, which is of course a little bit more powerful than the regular V6 that we started off with this morning. And we are at the Navarra circuit, 3.933 kilometers long. It's relatively new. It's a spanking new facility. It just opened in June 2010. And you know what? The whole idea here is to check the dynamic response of the car. So much that's been said about the F-Type being the most dynamic Jaguar ever. Well, we're about to put that to the test. The other reason to get to the V6S is because the base 3-litre V6 isn't coming to India anyway. A quick brief on the track itself first, and then it was time to don the safety gear. And yes, that included not just the helmet and the balaclava, also a Jaguar test driver. Well, the first lap had me in the passenger seat to get a bit of an orientation or a quick brief on the car and the track, and then it was mine. The Navarra circuit has some sharp corners and is more dynamic than I had expected. The car is taut, responsive, and yes, can be thrown around. Of course, the real fun started once I turned the electronic stability control program off. Then I was really throwing it around and had the tail flash out a bit. Truly awesome. The gearbox is a gem with very quick shifts, making for a very responsive and fast drive. Now, driving on any track with any car always gives you a good sense of just how precise that car is, how much you can actually push it in dynamic senses. But on this car, the other thing that of course immediately stands out is the fact that mechanically there are big differences between this and the standard V6, if you want to call it that. And then let's not also forget that Jaguar engineers preferred to go with the hydraulic steering. Again, having come out on the track, I now understand just why. The numbers on the V6S show you about 40 horses more than the base car. It also offers the limited slip mechanical differential, and configurable dynamics, which are essentially like Audi's Drive Select. This means you can customize throttle response, suspension and steering settings.
Almost time to say goodbye to the circuit here at Navarra, and I can tell you it was a lot of fun, and thank God it didn't rain, because well, that would have put quite literally a dampener on the entire proceedings, and perhaps we wouldn't have been able to test the car out on the track. So what we're going to do now is going to stay with the V6S. Don't have the red anymore, but we're going to get into this one, and I have swapped out my helmet for the F-Type hat. Back to the open road.
Now, when we'd first heard about the powertrain options that were to come on the F-Type, the critics raised quite a few doubts. Will a V6 be powerful enough? Will it be ample and dynamic? Will it live up to the reputation and hype that had been built up?
So those critics have been silenced. You've seen me today spending a lot of time with this car. You pretty much know what I think, isn't it? It is definitely fun, dynamic, very much ample on the figures, and so a lot of people are probably just going to be happy to opt for the V6 itself. The question that does pop up in my mind though is that if this car has been such a nice little monster, well, what's the V8 going to be like? A beast? Well, I'm going to have to hold on to my curiosity and be a little bit patient, because I only get my hands on the V8 tomorrow.
Before we carry on, even though I have showed you the car before, a quick word on its design, eh?
Let's talk a little bit about the design now, and Ian Callum, who's of course the head of design at Jaguar, has spoken about this with us before, even on CNB, you'll remember, from the Paris Motor Show, where the car made its global debut. At the time too, he made this statement which surprised some people, that his favorite part of the design is actually the rear of the car, the butt, if you will, and it's because of the kind of dynamic form and the sense of width that you get from it. It also sits a little bit high, and I think that's the part he was referring to. There's also a very specific line that the car's design follows, and it starts right back here at the tail light, and then just moves very gently, curves a little bit over here, which is very nice because it adds a little sense of muscle, and then right through the door, all the way, and then into the front bumper. So it's a congruous line, and it really gives the car a lot of shape, a lot of form, and also adds a dynamic element to the car even when it's standing still. The other bit that's been done very smartly, and I think again complements that design, is that the designers got their way and managed to get flush doors, so you don't have door handles that sort of ruin the overall look of the car. And the way that works is that the engineers came up with a nice solution. So when you approach the car, you unlock it with the key fob, out pops the door handle, and that's how you get in. So nice little touch, and of course when you drive away, in they go again.
Neat little trick that will make buyers gloat a bit. The visual differentiator between the V6 and the V8 is at the rear, the tailpipes. The V6 has twins, while the V8, which we'll show you later on, has quads. Now I like this one better, frankly. Looks pretty neat in the center, almost bugle-like. So that's the story on the V6S. It will arrive along with the V8S later this summer. Now we'll bring you more details on the pricing and some of the onboard electronics, as well as the review of that V8S model on the show next week.